At a lavish banquet, a waitress accidentally overhears an exciting piece of news. The owner of this luxury mansion is about to leave town for several days to attend an event. This causes the thieves, disguised as service staff, to temporarily pause their burglary plan. The reason is simple. After scanning the entire property with their equipment, they are shocked to discover that the massive mansion has not a single security camera inside or out. Although the situation feels strange, the temptation of easy money makes them think twice no longer. So when the banquet ends and the staff begin cleaning up, the two deliberately stay behind. They quietly take the mansion keys they had already located earlier. Later that night, they boldly sneak back into the house. Only after personally watching the owner leave the next day do they finally make their move. They steal a large amount of jewelry and cash. And they even decide to stay for a few days, enjoying life as if they were wealthy elites. But when Riley spots the hiking gear in the mansion, his playful side kicks in. He puts it on immediately, planning a hiking trip into the mountains behind the house. Kay warns him that the owner could return at any time. Riley promises he'll be back the next day and tells her not to worry. That very night, however, a loud roar and blinding lights suddenly wake Kay up. She rushes to the window and looks down. To her shock, the homeowner has returned early for unknown reasons. Kay hurriedly smooths out the wrinkled bed sheets. She then rushes downstairs, looking for a place to hide. But the owner has already opened the door and walked inside. With no other choice, Kay panics and flees upstairs. To her horror, the man brings a guest up as well. Kay hides behind the sofa, barely daring to breathe. The man turns out to be a journalist named Jake. Recently, he has been relentlessly pursuing Pierce, a rising tech mogul. Jake wants to interview Pierce about the secret behind his company's technological breakthroughs. But Pierce keeps dodging the real questions. Only after Jake drinks the wine Pierce hands him does Pierce finally reveal his true face. He angrily berates Jake, accusing him of wasting his time. Before Jake can react, dizziness suddenly washes over him. That's when he realizes the drink was drugged. But he clearly saw Pierce drink from his own glass as well. Pierce calmly puts on a pair of gloves. He carefully picks up Jake's wine glass. Then he peels off a transparent patch from the coaster beneath it. That patch is the real culprit. It's a new piece of technology Pierce has recently developed. Jake desperately struggles, trying to escape with all his strength. But his body stiffens, and he collapses to the floor. As he falls, he catches sight of Kay hiding nearby. But by then, he can no longer make a sound. Kay, having witnessed everything, is frozen in terror. She can only watch as Pierce drags Jake away. She has no desire to uncover whatever horrifying secret lies behind all this. All she wants is to escape this dangerous place as fast as possible. Once she's sure Pierce has left, she quickly slips away. But she doesn't realize that a piece of jewelry has fallen to the floor. In her panic, she nearly knocks over the wine glass on the table as well. When Pierce returns later, he notices the spilled wine on the floor. Sensing something is wrong, he searches the room and finds the necklace behind the sofa. Pierce immediately realizes someone else is inside the mansion. He grabs his phone and activates the lockdown. At that moment, Kay is calling the police. But the signal is instantly blocked. Pierce's voice suddenly echoes through the house. He explains that the reason there are no cameras anywhere in the mansion is because he never wanted any evidence of his secrets to exist. The entire house is powered by advanced technology. Now, all signals are cut and every exit has been sealed. Pierce warns Kay not to struggle and tells her to come out quietly. Kay tests the doors and windows and finds they're all locked. Unwilling to wait for death, she quietly heads upstairs, searching for another way out. But footsteps soon begin closing in. She runs back and hides beneath the sofa again. Before long, Pierce arrives and begins searching the area. Kay circles the sofa, barely staying out of sight. She suddenly grabs a decorative object and throws it downstairs. The noise successfully distracts him. Pierce raises his gun and moves toward the sound. Kay seizes the chance and sprints upstairs. But when she reaches the third floor, she finds there's nowhere left to run. In desperation, she smashes a chair against the window. The glass doesn't even crack. When she turns around, Pierce is already standing there, watching her. She panics and runs again. No matter where she goes, there's no escape. That's when she notices a ventilation shaft. She quickly pulls out her tools and unscrews the panel. With a hard shove, she knocks the fan loose. Finally, she squeezes through the narrow opening and escapes outside. Meanwhile, Pierce notices there are 2 used cups in the kitchen. He realizes there must be more than one intruder. Outside, Kay discovers the drop is far too high to jump safely. After thinking it through, she makes her way toward the swimming pool. Summoning all her courage, she leaps. Hearing the splash, Pierce rushes outside. Kay struggles up from the water, but by the time Pierce arrives, she's gone. Only a trail of water leads off into the distance. Pierce follows it without hesitation. What he doesn't know is that Kay is holding her breath beneath a floating pool chair. She deliberately left the water trail, knowing he would follow it. Just as she prepares to climb out, Pierce suddenly turns back. Terrified, she swims toward the center of the pool. She pleads that she saw nothing and begs him to let her go. Pierce is convinced she knows everything. With no choice, Kay warns him that she has accomplices. If anything happens to her, the police will be alerted. Pierce doesn't believe anyone would risk themselves for her. He raises his gun, but at that moment his phone rings. Through the security system, he sees police officers have arrived. He didn't expect Kay to actually call the police, yet he remains calm. He presses a button on his phone. A steel platform slowly rises from beneath the water. Moments later, it seals the pool, completely trapping Kay inside. Pierce then casually goes to answer the door. The officer says they received a report of danger at the residence. Pierce calmly claims there's nothing unusual. Still, the cautious officer insists on checking the house. Soon, he notices the spilled wine on the floor. Pierce says it was an accident he hadn't cleaned up yet. But the explanation only deepens the officer's suspicion. Knowing this can't continue, Pierce disables the signal block and sends a message to someone in his contacts. Not long after, the officer reaches the elevator. Pierce says it leads directly to his office, which contains sensitive business secrets. The officer insists on checking anyway. Just then, his phone rings. Pierce has used personal connections to alert the officer's superior. Now the superior is calling to question him about the situation. Meanwhile, no matter how much Kay screams, no one outside can hear her. She suddenly remembers a device at the bottom of the pool. She guesses it controls the steel platform. She begins punching it with all her strength, but underwater resistance makes it nearly impossible to break quickly. After being harshly scolded over the phone, the officer finally hangs up. He apologizes, saying this must all be a misunderstanding. The call was likely a prank and he leaves in a hurry. At that moment, Kay finally smashes the device. A gap opens in the steel plate above. Completely exhausted, she escapes from the pool. The police car is already pulling away. Luckily, its slow speed buys her precious time before the gate closes. But she's still a step too late and gets locked inside. Being so close to freedom nearly breaks her. Still, her will to survive keeps her going. She heads into the underground garage, hoping to find another way out. But as soon as she opens a car door, a piercing alarm blares. She tries to retreat immediately. Just then, Pierce comes downstairs. Kay hides beneath a car. When he looks away, she sneaks off. But the creaking door alerts him. In panic, Kay presses the elevator button at random. When she turns around, she's startled by Jake, strapped to a board. He looks at her with pleading eyes. Pierce soon arrives. Seeing only Jake inside, he turns to leave. He doesn't notice Kay hiding behind the board. Inside the elevator, Kay finds a hidden button. With no other options, she presses it. The elevator plunges rapidly downward. After a long moment, it finally stops. She discovers a vast hidden space beneath the mansion. She cautiously steps out. The elevator doors close behind her automatically, with no way to reopen them. She moves deeper inside. In the largest room, she finds equipment resembling a laboratory. Nearby lies a corpse. And what she sees next is even more horrifying. In each room, people are suspended by chains. They barely resemble humans anymore, having been tortured beyond recognition. This place is conducting inhumane human experiments in secret. Shaken, Kay records everything she sees. At the same time, Pierce receives an intrusion alert on his phone. He realizes someone has entered his underground base. Kay is focused on filming when one of the figures suddenly moves. Startled, she drops her phone into the room. Worse still, it's too far away to reach. As the woman begins to struggle again, Kay panics and runs. But when she returns, Pierce is already waiting by the elevator. This time, he won't let her escape. In desperation, Kay grabs a scalpel and stabs wildly. She then sprints toward the only exit. Jake blocks the way. With Pierce closing in, she apologizes and drags Jake outside. She barely shuts the elevator doors in time. Even so, she's still trapped in the mansion. Just then, a car drives through the front gate. Pierce's girlfriend, Jessica, has returned home. Kay rushes to her for help, but Jessica recoils at the blood on Kay's hands. She pulls out a gun and points it at her. Ignoring Kay's explanations, she forces her back inside. Under gunpoint, Kay has no choice but to comply. Pierce soon returns upstairs. Jessica asks what's going on. Pierce says nothing, only asking her for the gun. Kay begs her to stop, but Jessica hands it over without hesitation. She is also involved in the experiments. Their company's success is built on this horror. Desperate, Kay lies and says she already recorded evidence and sent it to her accomplice. If they don't let her go, it will be released online tomorrow. Pierce hesitates, but in the end, he fires a tranquilizer dart. When Kay wakes up, she's strapped to a board, just like Jake. The next day, an unsuspecting Riley returns to the mansion. No one answers his calls. Kay doesn't pick up either. Assuming she's out, he doesn't think much of it. But inside, he steps on broken glass. As he cleans the wound, a blood-covered Jessica emerges. He thinks it's Kay. Then Pierce appears, terrifying him. Riley hides in the bathroom. Pierce enters the shower moments later. Riley watches in horror. He realizes Kay is in serious trouble. He waits for his chance. Late at night, he hears Pierce leave. Riley emerges and points a gun at Jessica. She realizes he's the accomplice. Pretending to help, she agrees to take him to Kay. Along the way, she secretly grabs a remote. Music suddenly fills the house. Pierce rushes back. Riley raises the gun again. Forced, Pierce leads him underground. Riley finds Jake's dead body. He doesn't notice Pierce picking up a scalpel. It's too late. A gunshot wakes Kay. Pierce hasn't killed her yet, needing information, but she's trapped in the lab. Riley limps in and frees her with a keycard. He claims Pierce is injured and urges her to leave and call the police. Kay remembers the phone she dropped earlier. She retrieves it, but as they prepare to leave, Riley pulls a gun. Pierce emerges from the shadows. He has bought Riley's betrayal. As Kay confronts Riley, a test subject attacks him. Kay escapes in the chaos. Pierce calmly retrieves the gun. He had orchestrated the confusion. He applies a tranquilizer patch. The subject soon goes still. Kay, without a keycard, can't escape. With no way out, she decides to fight back. She returns and hands Pierce the phone. He searches it but finds no video. He thinks she's lying. In truth, everything is going according to her plan. Pierce begins to feel dizzy. He checks the phone and realizes the tranquilizer patch is attached to its back. It's already too late. Kay shoves him into the experiment room. Screams echo from inside, but as she grabs the keycard, Pierce lunges again. The pain has jolted him awake. Kay kicks him away and rushes to the elevator. She slams the close button. At the last second, the doors shut, locking Pierce outside. Kay finally escapes alive.